23rd, 2024. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Gatewood?
Present.
Ms. Johnson?
Present.
Dr. Murillo?
Present.
Mr. Ploger?
Present.
Ms. Simulton?
Present.
Ms. Benson?
Present.
Please stand for, oh, I'm sorry?
Here.
Oh, sorry. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight, I have the pleasure of introducing to you the newest faces and very important voices at our board table, our student board members. Through an application and interview process, we have selected a member and an alternate representing each high school. These students have shown tremendous dedication and commitment to their school and a willingness to contribute to the board. To our board, reflecting the values we hold dear. We are eager to see how your insights and perspectives will enrich our conversations and decision-making processes. We welcome student board member for Oswego East High School, Senior Hope Rie, joined by alternate senior Sahana Muthan. Representing Oswego High School, we welcome student board member Kali Parnell, joined by alternate senior Trey Williams. Okay, I'm going to ask all four of you if you could come to the center and face out to the audience. And we will all ask our board members to join for a photo.
You thought there was going to be some big question thing.
Did I say, what did I say? Callie. Callie.
I think you should be in the center next to each other. Just mom. Okay.
Let's give them one more round of applause.
I want to make sure.
Very cool.
Okay, we're going to ask Hope and Callie to please take their seats at the board table.
And now we're going to ask you to give a speech.
No speech?
Stay prepared. Just kidding.
All right, good evening, board and community. It is great to be here this evening. I want to invite next Dr. Zwemke to introduce to us, take us through a next-gen residency announcement and update. I do want to say that this is really becoming the shining star of the innovative and leadership work that's happening in our district, and I want to thank Dr. Zwemke for your leadership in this regard.
Good evening, board. Thank you, Dr. Calgatti. Tonight is a great night to celebrate our inaugural residents, and we're very excited to have them here. They look great tonight. Everybody's got great swag on. We're really excited for that. And I want to introduce Ms. Anna Marie Candelario, who's really been the architect of our residency program. And in addition to that, we have had a wonderful partnership with our OEA and OESBA partners, and we have an OEA member who is a teacher on special assignment, Reagan Songroth, who is also helping with the residency program and mentoring. So I will turn it over to them. Thank you.
Good evening. It has been 5 months since Next Gen began. We are so excited to share this moment with you on September 23rd, where we are here to celebrate SD308's inaugural cohort of teacher and leader residents and mentors. So first, we want to thank our partners, and we have some special partners in the audience. So we have Aurora University President, Dr. Gant and Dr. Barnwell, if you could say hi. I can't highlight the meaningful collaboration between Aurora University and 308. Together, we co-created our mission and vision during our work with the National Center of Teacher Residency. I cannot stress enough the shared commitment around engagement and breaking down barriers for our educators.
So for our residency, we do have 3 goals. There we go. There they are. Okay. Number 1 is we want to increase our certified teachers in the high needs subject areas, such as special education and our dual language. Within those high needs areas, we want to make sure that we are increasing our retention and engagement of those highly effective staff members. Lastly, we want to increase our student performance, and we are planning to do that through means of our residency. We're building our teachers and our leaders in district in hopes that our students will see the benefit of that as well.
We are proud to welcome a cohort that reflects the cultural and academic needs of our district. Our cohort represents 48% educators of color compared to traditional programming of 20%. Our 24% of our educators are bilingual compared to a national average of 9% in traditional programming. And we are really close to achieving that same level of mentors of color as well when we're looking at 21%, but nationally it's 29%. And so just looking at the data right now, our mission of creating a culturally diverse cohort is on its way with the first group.
So we've added some key metrics on which we are measuring our success so far. We have 21 residents, most of them sitting behind us. Which of those 21, 60 of them want to be special education teachers, 60%. We have 24% of those teachers who want to be in dual language or an English language learner teacher. So when we're looking at those spots that we need to fill in the future, we got a couple behind us. When we asked their satisfaction about the program so far, 90% of them said that they were satisfied with our program. Well, 95% of their wonderful mentors are satisfied with the program as well. And as of right now, we sent an interest form out at the end of last year. We have 52 individuals interested in the next cohort for teachers. We want to send that out again to see if we can recruit more. Additionally, we have 10 individuals in our leadership pathway. Many of them are back in the back over there as well. These individuals are completing getting leadership training from the district. And 94% of those leadership residents expressed that they were satisfied with the district's supports.
And so now we would like to introduce you to the 2024 teacher residents. We would like to take this moment to celebrate them. So if you are a resident, please stand up. At the very end, we're going to take a nice, really large picture because you know I love social media. So you guys could take a seat. Thank you. It's been wonderful being a part of each one of these residents' journeys. We've got to know them personally and professionally, and they are already leading this work with passion, innovation, and purpose. And we would like to introduce to you one of the first residents to speak for a testimonial, Isabel Garcia, if you can come up. She is a 6th grade dual language teacher on an emergency licensure track. She works at Plank Junior High, and she's been in the district for 2 years.
Thank you. Good evening. As Anna Marie introduced me, I am in Plank Junior High. And the way I started is I was offered a teaching position. I was working as a long-term sub at Plank, and I accepted the challenge without fully knowing what I was stepping into. But my motivation was personal. As I was worried about the future of the dual language program. One of the students was my own son, a 6th grader then. Now he's a freshman here at OE. What I didn't expect was how quickly I would fall in love with teaching these kids. Despite the challenges, which were many challenges, my passion for dual language education grew stronger, and I knew I had to stay. However, I faced a dilemma. I am teaching with a transitional bilingual educator license, and because I decided that this is my path, and I will finally give in to teaching, because it was always something that was after me, and I was saying no, but finally I gave in. I like teaching. So I looked into several options, including Aurora University, which is where I got my bachelor's from, and they have an accelerated program, a master's program, and I also looked into an online master's curriculum at bilingual cultural studies at the University of Illinois, but neither path fit my needs, because one required leaving my position, as it was a full-time student. I had to be a full-time student there, and the other was in a licensure program. So that's when NextGen came into the picture. So I was like, what is this? So it offered me the opportunity to pursue an education I need while continuing to teach at Plank, where I have built meaningful connections, and I mean like family connections. It feels like family to me. I mean, they're family. As I attended classes and professional development sessions through NextGen, everything in my classroom started to click. It was the aha moment. It was like the light bulb. I was like, oh, that's why. And the program has been very instrumental in my growth as a dual language teacher, and I expect to learn even more, and I'm very thankful for this opportunity. And I continue to doing what I love, advancing in my career. Thank you.
Thank you.
We would like to invite John Borman. He is a teacher resident. He wants to be a special education teacher. He's his first year in our district, and he currently is a co-teacher of record in Long Beach.
Evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I wrote a few words here, so, bear with me. I've wanted to be a teacher since I was a kid. Honestly, I can't imagine pursuing another profession. I started taking courses in college to become a teacher, and then my son was born. Life shifted, and I had to change my priorities. I began working full-time at a job that at a job I held since I was 16. For 7 years, I worked long hours, missed basically every holiday, every weekend. Eventually, I moved to a different company with a better balance, but the work there, it felt purposeless. I started exploring new career paths, but I kept coming back to teaching. Then my friend Erin, who's over there, I think, Erin Gleason, she introduced me to Anna Marie.
No. It was over then, wasn't it?
And then that's where everything started to go downhill.
You were recruited instantly.
So I learned about the NextGen residency for career changers after interviewing. I accepted, I think, in 24 hours. It's funny because when I told my kids I was going to be a teacher, they kind of looked at me like, I remember my dad, my oldest saying, "Dad, you a teacher?" And then my daughter was like, "Dad, can you even read?" I can. But in just over 4 months, I've completed one course. I'm in the middle of another. I've been co-teaching with my incredible mentor, Andrea, Mrs. DeLeiden back here somewhere. Where are you at? but honestly, this program's really, truly changed my life. It's granting me the opportunity to fulfill my childhood dream of becoming a teacher. As I transition into the classroom, I've been guided by Zaretta Hammond's ideas from culturally responsive teaching and the brain, which Anna Marie made me read. But she writes, the brain is wired to make sense of the world through story, especially stories that carry deep emotional meaning. This resonates with me because when I think about my own path into teaching, I realize that these deeply emotional experiences, both professional and personal, they have shaped me. Whether it was missing holidays, family gatherings during my old career, or the joy of working with students now, each moment is a part of the story that I can bring into the classroom. And I want to help my students see the value in their own stories and help them connect learning in their lives. So I want to thank the Board of Education, District 308, and everyone involved in the Next Gen residency for your support of this incredible program. You've given me a second chance that most people never get. I found a community of wonderful classmates, coworkers, and friends. And most importantly for me, I found purpose again. I'm excited about the future to make a lasting impact on my students and their families and the school community here at 308. Thank you.
Now we want to take a minute to recognize our resident mentors. So if you're a resident mentor, please stand up. So these individuals have an average of 17 years in education, an average. We're lucky to have these open-minded, innovative individuals guiding our residents. One of our resident mentors is going to speak for us today, Mary. There she is. Mary is a fourth grade teacher at Hunt Club. She's been in the district for 16 of her 25 years of teaching, and we are lucky to have her.
Mary Struve, fourth grade teacher at Hunt Club Elementary. Thank you for having me, and thank you for having me be part of this program. You two are truly amazing, and your passion is just contagious, so thank you. Almost every teacher you meet will share that they had a dream to be a teacher when they were younger. Like me, most teachers were inspired by a teacher who instilled a love of learning, confidence, and belief that they can change the world. Teaching is my passion. I have dedicated my entire adult life to teaching and learning alongside my students. After 24 years of teaching, when I sat in the first residency program meeting in May, I was very tired. But I was also inspired, empowered, and led to remember my why. Each year with our students is a gift. We are provided with the opportunity to change students' lives, and now with this residency program, we can inspire, support, and learn alongside future teachers as well. In our classroom, we are scholars. Scholars push themselves outside their comfort zone, set goals, and know that they always have more to learn. Through this program, we are modeling that for our students every day. My amazing co-teacher, Krishna Kalambi, and I are able to build rapport with students, provide small group instruction, and share our experiences about learning in this program with them. When Mrs. Kalambi is not present, the students immediately ask where she is and look forward to her return. We are a team in the classroom. The residency program provides opportunities for residents to learn about new innovative tools, which are then shared with us at school. Planning with my co-teacher has provided me with new ideas, approaches to instruction, and excitement for trying new things. This is what learning is truly all about. This is such an amazing, one-of-a-kind program, and I am excited to be part of it. And I look forward to seeing it evolve and grow in the future.
We would now like to highlight our leader residents These 10 brave individuals embarked on a new type of leadership endorsement. It's the new alternative principal licensure. And so we'd like to celebrate these wonderful individuals that have persevered through this program thus far. So if you could please stand if you are a leader resident. So we would now like one of our leader residents to speak. This is Allie Wooden. She is a leader resident, an instructional coach at Boulder Hill. She's been in the district for 20 years, and she is also a resident mentor.
Good evening, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to share my experience with the leadership residency program here in 308. My name is Allie Wooden. I am celebrating my 20th year here in SD308. I have spent my entire educational career at Boulder Hill Elementary School, which I love. During my tenure, I have always been incredibly dedicated to the youth of our school district, and I highly valued continued education. Through my work on committees, mentorship from amazing 308 leaders, and my role as instructional coach, I started to feel a pull towards adding leadership to my certification. Mid last year, I began to hear about this new and innovative residency program 308 was embarking on. I attended a number of informational sessions and found that the leadership residency program was not only incredibly timely for me on my next journey, but I could not think of a better outline for a program. It was truly meant to be. This program has afforded me the opportunity to achieve my goal of obtaining a leadership certificate alongside a group of amazing colleagues, and at a very little cost to me. There was not a single reason for me to let this opportunity pass me by. While being the pioneers of new and uncharted territory, we have endured some challenges along the way, but with the unwavering support of amazing colleagues and mentors, I continue to feel assured and excited for what's to come. I am confident the program is only going to continue to grow and flourish with each coming year. That brings me to the next, and likely not my final, invaluable opportunity, and that was learning under the leadership of Anna Marie Calendario. I practiced your name like a million times, because to me, she's AMC, so. Anna Marie brought the resident leaders together and created an unexpected community in my life. Inside this community of amazing educators, we have grown, laughed, and began creating bonds that I can only imagine will be long-lasting. I am deeply grateful for this opportunity and excited for what lies ahead.
So last but not least, we're at our moment of gratitude, but I would love for our site school principals to take a stand.
Yes.
If you could stand up. So they are super brave for taking on this program and continue to do it with a smile. So we are so appreciative of them. And so for our moment of gratitude, we would like to thank the Board of Education for believing in the power of education and the impact that it touches. The Cabinet and the Human Resources Department, our union partners, our building administrators, our mentors, our teacher leaders, and of course the community. We are so grateful for this opportunity and a way just to build community. So thank you. So we would like to call the groups up for photos with the board. First, we'd like to start with the teacher residents. If the teacher residents could come up and take a photo. If our AU partners and our principals could also be part of this photo as well. It's going to be a big photo.
I'm good. Just so I ate a really late lunch Thank you for coming. That was so kind of you. So we appreciate you being here.
Where's the thing? So make sure she's set up.
Oh yeah.
I think you're good.
Set up. Yeah. Hey, Jared. Jared, did you like the squash? Did you like the squash? I didn't try it. We were just discussing who it was. Okay. Sometimes there are different things that
If 50 people wanted to do it, are we able to accommodate that? All right. We gotta find a grant. Alta. I'm looking to Alta. Let's do it.
I don't have any clue.
Everybody.
So that's what it
Oh
would
my goodness.
I know we got more grant money, right?
We got grant money this year.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we're a little short.
Amy Ursula wants to know if you're mad at me.
No, not about this, just about everything else, Derek.
She said just everything else, so I'm okay.
Next Monday, 9 to 10.
I think I slept in average of like 2.5 hours a night.
Schedule.
Last week. So either way,
Okay. Do we lose the time? Oh, she's talking to us.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Okay. Oh, that's the white group.
Even though everybody left, can I just say one thing about Next Gen? I remember when I was in college and was getting a really good grade in my English class, and I did the extra credit, and my teacher wrote back to me, my professor wrote back to me, "Why did you do extra credit? You're already getting AA in this class." And I said, "Well, I'm going to take every opportunity." And I looked out at all of them, and there are some amazing human beings that are doing the extra credit. They're already amazing, and then they're doing the extra credit, and it's just, and all have their own life stories of what they're going through, and it's just really powerful, the testimonials that we heard. So I'm grateful to have it in our district.
Yes.
Indeed.
Okay.
Amy, I think wants to say something.
Yeah. I just want to say, you know, I'm so disappointed to not be there in person tonight to see this presentation and see, you know, everyone's faces and hear, you know, see the faces of the testimonials and all that. I just can't say enough about how quickly and how much great progress there has been in such a small amount of time. So kudos to everyone involved. So well aligned with our needs. So well done. You know, for the beginning phases of a program like this. I want to thank everyone involved. You know, teacher residencies are really, as I think a lot of you know, are gaining ground in the field, and this is such a great case study for what can really, the power of them in districts. You know, a lot of those residents without a residency program would never have stepped into a career in teaching. That's my impression thus far, and that's what programs like this can really do. So I look forward to them really having a long and fruitful career here at School District 308. I wanted to say too, there was a graphic on there about our residents of color. I think it was 48% of our residents are teacher residents of color, and the graphic was compared to National Center for Teacher Residencies as well as I think nationwide. But really, when you think about what we want as a Board of Education, I believe, is a representation of our students in our teachers. And so what we're looking for is parity. And if I think our students are around 51 or 52% students of color, and 48% of our teacher residents are residents of color, that's the exact type of, you know, numbers I think that we're looking for. Are we taking questions, or is this more of like a presentation?
You're welcome to bring questions, and then we can, I can follow up.
Yeah, so I just have a couple questions. I know that there was another grant out there, so I would just like to hear about when, eventually when we would hear about that. I think that will impact likely how many of those interested candidates we can support in the future. I saw like 52 potential interested teacher residents. And then, what else? The site schools, what are the sites that those residencies are at? I heard Boulder Hill, I think Plank was another one. I would just like to know what those site schools are. And then, we need to tell people about this. So I'm hoping, I think the Board of Education would support us sharing this with others. I've often been asked, how do you know when something is successful? And it's when other people are knocking on your door asking, what are you guys doing over there with your teacher residency program? And so those are just a couple of my questions, but kudos to all. Thank you so much.
So, great questions and feedback. I will say that in terms of there was a teacher quality grant that we were pursuing, a federal grant. We did not get that. But the good news is that we got really helpful feedback. We were one of the only non-university-led grants that applied for it. And so we can say, when we say we were a small fish in a big pond, we were really a small fish. However, we did get feedback, and it's going to be a good opportunity for us as we think about the future. We're also pursuing private grants. One of the highlights of tonight's presentation, and you saw it really evidenced, we had representation from Aurora University here. So they've been extremely generous in both their time, but also in their contributions to this effort in terms of the kinds of scholarships and additional funds that they've provided. I don't have those exact numbers, but we can bring that to the next meeting. They have been, when I say extremely, and we're really thankful for that partnership. Dr. Zwemke, do you want to add anything? And then whatever we want to wait till next time we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Good questions, Dr. Murillo. I know we'll be partnering with the communications department to get some further information out to celebrate through stories and through social media. You had asked about the 5 site skills there: Long Beach, Hunt Club, Fox Chase, Southbury, and Plank. And we have been very fortunate to have our site building principals really embrace the type of support. And then our relationship with Aurora University has just been bar none. We meet with them. We've met with the provost. The provost came out to our office, learned more about our school. We were just at an evening on the state of Aurora with Mayor Richard Irvin last week, where we're highlighting the great things that are occurring in Oswego for a variety of issues. So our partnership with Aurora University is going to take us a really, really long way. I've mentioned before in a few different ways, I think we essentially have taken the teacher shortage away with our residents. Mm-hmm. We would be almost perfectly staffed right now with our residents where we will be a year from now. Doesn't mean the work's done. We got to continue our work. We recognize that there's areas within our system also, like our related services, psychologists, social workers, OTs, PTs. We're going to have to continue to be creative with university partnerships, like we are right now with special education and multilingual, but we're in good shape. So more information to come, more updates to come, and success is very, very bright, as Dr. Calgatti would say.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. We're moving on to 5.1, public comment. So we're going to start with our public hearing on updated e-learning plan. So we will have 2 opportunities for public comment tonight. The first opportunity will be during the public hearing on the updated e-learning plan, which we are about to convene. If you wish to make a comment about the e-learning plan, please make it during the public comment portion of that hearing, which we will convene next on the agenda. If you wish to make a comment about some other matter unrelated to the public hearing, you may do so during the second opportunity for public comment, agenda item 7.1. So we will now hold a public hearing on the updated e-learning plan. This is a public hearing convened by the Board of Education of Community Unit School District 308 regarding the updated e-learning plan. At this time, I would like to ask Dr. Kincaid to give any additional information updates on the e-learning plan.
So as we spoke at the last board meeting, our updates include changes to the junior high and high school time to be in alignment with a 5-hour school day, where our junior high and high school will both have student support time available to them. At the junior high level, it will be a 20-minute class period, and at the high school, a 25-minute class period. There's no recommendations for change at the early childhood or elementary level.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any public comments?
There are none.
Okay, so if there are no public comments, I would like to ask our board members if they have any comments at this time. No? Okay.
Nothing additional?
So at this time, we will close the public hearing on the updated e-learning plan.
Did you have a comment? Okay.
Wait, did you say?
Introduce yourself.
I'm Hope Brie. I was gonna ask, did you say you changed it to a 5-hour day?
So currently, our e-learning plan is that our remote day matches the school day, like period by period, minute by minute, just like if you were in person. So what we're shifting to is a modified day for our e-learning day. So it will be more in alignment with a 5-hour school day. So it would be a shorter remote period for the junior high and high school. Yes. So these are just in place if we were, instead of taking an emergency like a snow day, when we're doing e-learning across the district. So this would be in placement or in place of a e-learning emergency day.
Okay. At this time, we will close the public hearing on the updated e-learning plan. Oh, 7.1.
I was answering your question.
Oh.
I was following with you. That was
Okay.
7.1. Okay. All these numbers, it's bound to get confused.
He's doing 6.1.
Okay. So now we want to welcome, this evening we have a board, we have a Aramark presentation. We want to invite them. Thank you for joining us this evening. Mr. Obafemi
I'm
and
going to
Amanda
have
Sitar.
Ms. Sitar introduce the group from Aramac and speak to why they're here tonight.
Thank you. Aramark is here to speak to you about the updated food service plan and some new initiatives that they have planned to enhance the program even further. We have today Megan, Patty, and Executive Chef Natalia.
And I know just to kind of, before, we heard the community, we heard board member before we did the RFP. And after the selection process, Aramac won the RFP, but there was a recognition that there's some work that needs to be done to get us to where we need to be. And one of the process that we're using is requesting that Aramac comes to the board quarterly to provide an update about food service and to also afford the board an opportunity to ask questions related to Aramac's performance. So this is the first of the quarterly meeting for this school year. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to join tonight, and we look forward to these quarterly meetings to come in here and present to you and share the exciting things that we're doing within the community. So tonight we're excited to tell you about our participation and some things that we have started already through the year. We're going to step through our participation and what we're driving to increase that participation. We're going to talk about our communication strategies that we've already started, and then we're going to talk about kind of what we've done differently compared to last year. So I'll hand it over to Patty and talk through participation.
Hi, I'm Patty Alexakos, and I am the general manager for the Oswego account. Thank you very much, Dr. Calgatti, Simulton, and board members. I wanted to step through our participation comparison from school year 24 and current school year 25. The metrics we have up here are from the end of August. Breakfast, the end of August school year 24, we saw about a 4.1% participation at the start of the school year. And for the beginning of this school year, end of August, we landed at about 5.4%, which was an increase. About mid-September, about a week and a half ago, we're already sitting at about 7.8%. At all levels, we've seen an increase, elementary, junior high, and high school participation numbers going from August to September, almost doubling in participation there. For lunch, our participation metric at the end of August for school year 24 was at about 26.7%, and for school year 25, end of August is 33.8%. Mid-September is trending at about 40.2% and climbing. I do want to make a note, the difference with our service days for school year 25, we had the heat advisory day. So the elementary was in service. However, junior high and high school were having remote day that day. But since elementary was in service, that is considered a service day, so it is skewing the numbers a little bit. So we actually would have been at higher participation had junior high and high school been in. The last box is our equivalent meals, and what that means is all of our a la carte snacks, when a student buys a second entree, or if they get like a milk, or if they want any of the snacks that are afforded to them under the snacks, that is considered an equivalent meal. The participation in 24 at the end of August is about 4.7%, and this school year at the end of August, we were sitting at about 5.6%. September's is climbing to about 7.3, but what we've really been focusing on with our staff is making sure that the students are getting a complete meal, making sure they're getting all of the different components that they can take. Are they taking multiple fruits and vegetables rather than just taking an entree and a milk that's not going to qualify, nor will it qualify for reimbursements for the district. So we're really trying to make sure that they're well-rounded and getting a whole full meal with that. What we're doing to our strategy for increasing participation for the school year. At the end of last year, ISB set forth, they had a grant that was available, and we worked with the district to apply for that grant. And at the beginning of this school year, we were one of the school districts that did receive the expansion grant for breakfast. And there's 10 locations where that is going to target, and it's based on the participation of breakfast versus lunch, like how many students are taking lunch versus what we're getting the participation rate at breakfast. So the targeted schools for those are Boulder Hill, Fox Chase, Hunt Club, Lakewood Creek, Long Beach, Old Post, Plank, the Wheatlands, Thompson, and Eastview Academy. So the process is starting right now at the end of September, and we're starting with surveys with the students as to what their current level and participation is on the current breakfast program, and kind of getting the metric and ideas of what the students are wanting. We're to submit those every month and come up with a new menu plan starting in February and March, where the grant is actually going to start. So what it's going to be doing is we're going to be focusing on different healthier options, since the USDA is going to be lowering the added sugar requirements next school year. So we're already working towards increasing. We have added smoothies twice a month to our breakfast menus, blended smoothies at all levels that students are really liking, pairing with like a grain option and some healthier sandwich and hot breakfast options. So increasing the protein, decreasing the sugars, and things like that. We're trying to work with the different school locations to increase participation for our most vulnerable students. We have the free and reduced populations at each location. We want to make sure that we are feeding those students so that they are able to focus in class, make sure that they give the teachers the attention so that they can get the best out of their education each day. So what we're doing right now is we're trying to establish some principal meetings with all of the buildings to kind of touch base and see what we can do in each location to kind of tailor a program and see what we can do to help drive that participation. We've been working with Ms. Merritt's over at Churchill Elementary currently, and we're going to be piloting a second chance breakfast program starting October 1st. So students that come in, sometimes they're rushed coming in, parents are getting, dropping them off right at the bell. High school students might be coming in, it's really early in the morning, you guys are like getting out of bed and you're just like, oh God, just let me get to first period. You don't have time to stop for a breakfast. So we're trying to target and see what we can do about getting a specific time to do like a second chance breakfast where we would have students who may have eaten at home, and if you're a free or reduced kid, maybe you still need a snack or something for the rest of the day. You're entitled to get that. And so we'd like to put out a breakfast cart, give you the option to come out and allow them to have a healthy, nutritious, complete meal rather than, oh no, going to the nurse and saying, I'm hungry just because they didn't have a breakfast with them or a snack.
Can I
Sure.
comment? So I've seen issues with our free or reduced and with our students that are coming from outside of their boundaries to go to special programs where the bus is always late.
Correct.
And they're on free and reduced.
Correct.
And they're not getting breakfast.
Correct.
So push this. I
Yes.
don't know how else to say it. And
Absolutely.
that's the you laid out two examples. The example that I just gave, those are the ones that I'm concerned about the most. So.
Absolutely. So we do have in some of the school locations, we've been talking with the offices as far as when students are late arrival, send them down to the cafeteria, let them know they need a breakfast. We're more than happy to give them a breakfast. All the leads know that. If a nurse, we've been working with health services to let the nurses know if kids are coming down because they're hungry, please bring them down for a breakfast. They don't need to just get a cracker for them if they need the food.
Yeah,
And
not. I kind of want everybody to know, the students to know, not have to say that I'm hungry.
Correct.
Right, that's a great.
So. I don't know, it's just something that I've always
Absolutely.
cared about.
Perfect.
So.
And that's what we want to do. We want to get them fed.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry. Was there a question, honey?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
Do I have to introduce myself again?
Yeah, you go right on.
Oh, my name is Aubrey. You said that for your second chance, I think that's what you called it, when parents drop off students late. However, my question would be is how would this interfere with a schedule? Say, I know juniors and seniors have an opportunity to arrive late to school, so they would have that opportunity to maybe stay and eat for that first period. However, students who do have a full schedule, how would they be able to get that time to sit down and eat, or would it be that they would go to class with the food that they would get at the second chance?
So they could take the food with them depending upon when they arrive. So most of it at the elementary levels, we're trying to work out a plan, and we're going to, like we said, pilot it at Churchill and kind of see what works best. So we're working out the logistics this week with Ms. Merritt's and figure out, is it going to be like a bag where you have like some of the cold components that you can take, and you can take it to class with you and you'll be allowed to eat there, or if you're going to stay in the cafeteria and eat and then just go back to your class. So logistically, we're going to just see how that works, and hopefully it works well with Churchill, and then we can lay out the plan for the other schools as well.
Will it work into the high school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what you were-
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I was.
Very good.
I'll just elaborate. Actually, most of the time that we do a second chance breakfast is typically more at a high school, middle school level. It's actually not seen or as uncommon as in an elementary level. So we definitely will be working with the building principals and the administration to kind of go that avenue as well.
And then what does the communication around that look like?
So for the pilot one that we're going to be doing a family letter to go out to the families at Churchill so that they're aware of what's going on and how their child can participate and if they need that, and what we're going to be doing with that. If that works well, we want to expand that to all of the other locations, and then we'll be sending out like Peach Jar notifications. We've started with the communications department, a little snippet called Did You Know? So we did our first social media post about our limited time offers that we do monthly, and it was kind of sent out to the community like, did you know we offered this limited time offer special at the junior highs and high school, and we can do the same thing with like pertinent information there. So we're really going to try to utilize more of the communication pieces and partner with the district more to get that message out to
And
families.
especially at the high school level, if we
Yeah.
can find a way to communicate directly to the students so that they know, their parents might not tell them, so there's an opportunity there. What's the timing around, once you figure out, like, how long is it going to be at Churchill, and then how will it roll out to the other
So we'd
levels?
like to do it for a month at Churchill and see how that works, and then the beginning of November, try to expand that and move that out to the other schools. And then get the feedback from her staff and, you know, kind of touch base with her on a weekly basis and see what's going on there, so. The other thing we're doing is, like I said, the social media post, also working with sending out Peach Jar flyers and trying to be more communicative that way with menus, the specials, information on free and reduced applications, things that they need to know around food services. The other items that we're doing in order to increase participation is kind of let students know what we're offering by having display plates at all locations. We used to do that more so at high school and junior high, but at the elementary level, that really wasn't done. This year, all of the levels are doing it, and it's really made an impact, especially at the elementary, so they could see what the food item is and see what the offerings are and how they can make their meal. So I think they've really been liking that. They've been coming up and they've been pointing to it, saying how great it looks, and really been excited about the looks of the food. The other thing that we're going to be doing is continuing at the end of the last school year in April and May, we did a lot of student taste testing in the district. We did a lot of that with some of our new products. We're going to be continuing that starting in October and November, and we're also going to be partnering with some of our vendors to come out and do student samplings and tastings as well for like items that they have. We want to talk about maybe some a la carte items at the junior high and high school. So working with like student groups to kind of do some taste testings to see are there different items that we can expand the options to that you guys want to see, and just kind of get the direct feedback that way so we can tailor the program a little bit more to what you're wanting to see.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
So most of the participation, the increase that you have seen in participation is prior to many of the initiatives that you're launching. Do you
Correct.
know the root cause or the reason why the participation has upticked thus far?
So historically, August, everybody's kind of like tippy-toeing into seeing what it is. We're still trying to train staff and get them accustomed to it. I think as now they're seeing more items, the staff is having a little bit more time to engage with the students and talk to them. They're able to bring out the different items and kind of show them what we're offering. So I think just word of mouth and just seeing the food that's coming across is helping the participation that way. And then we're really going to start driving, you know, communicating it more to families. We want to, we've been invited to participate at the Fall Fest at Churchill in November. The end of last school year, Boulder Hill invited us to their spring fair. We were there to do some samplings. The chefs and I, we were there so we can sample to the parents about all of the different items that we have in the program that they might not be aware of, so that they can taste it themselves. So we want to bring that to everyone. Okay? You guys have any other questions regarding that?
Well,
okay. Yes.
I was going to have the same, but I was actually going to ask our administrators if they're hearing. Does that sound?
What are you saying? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The reason for the increase, you know, you gave us some reasons. I'm wondering if we're hearing kind of the same thing from the building level, you know, from nothing yet. That's fine.
And more to come. We're actually going to talk about some things that we have that we're doing this year versus prior year, and I think some of that will be a piece of why we've seen this increase in participation as well.
I mean, anecdotally, we're hearing about better offering, more selection, renew excitement for the offerings that we have. Those are some of the anecdotes.
I figure it would be anecdotal, but at this point, yeah, we don't have much to measure it by. Okay,
We'll continue to focus and get you guys results so we can compare year over year as well.
thank you.
So our next piece of this is our communication strategy. So part of all the things that we're doing within your district, it doesn't do any of us any good if we don't share the things that we're doing and talk about it. So part of our Student Nutrition 360 that we talked about during our whole bid process was a part of engaging with your students and your community and your families. And so a couple weeks ago, our Aramark team met with Michelle Early, and we got some great feedback on who we can collaborate with to understand the student advisory groups that we can connect with, the parent groups in the community that we can connect with. We would love to connect with the student ambassadors.
Yes.
We want to get that direct feedback from your community, so then the next time that we're up here presenting, we can tell you what we heard, and we can tell you the actions that we put into place based off of that feedback. We are part of the Parent University catering, so not only are we catering the food during those events quarterly, we're opening our kitchens, we're inviting people in to see what the lines look like, what the setup looks like. If they have any questions, we're there to answer any questions and engage with the families. Patty mentioned it a little bit, but we're working with the communication department, and we're trying to, start the Did You Know social media post. And it can be highlighting, as she said, our limited time offer. It could be highlighting, hey, there's a fun holiday coming up. Here's a fun and healthy recipe that you can try with your kids at home. Maybe a recipe that we have data that we can pull and say, your kids love this in this community. Here's your recipe, and you can make it at home too with your families. So we're just doing some fun little social media posts. And then the next step to elevate that piece is our executive chef, Natalia here, is going to be working with Jessica, and we are actually going to do some videos. The videos will stem from having our full line set up and Chef Natalia walking through and say, here's what we're offering within your community. Here's what makes a reimbursable meal. It might be something as easy as, it's summer, here's how you properly cut a watermelon. It's just ways to highlight the resources that you have within your community to connect with your community. And then the other part that we are working on is bi-monthly we're holding meetings with our health services department. It's imperative that we understand the dietary needs and the allergies of this district. So the Aramark team has been working closely with them to keep that open line of communication and develop a good strategy that we can ensure that as your nurses get the information, it's passed down to our staff, and we can keep all of your kids safe based off of the needs that they need. So overall, we just want to expand and make sure that we're connecting on all levels. Patty did mention we are focusing on doing a principal meeting monthly. Again, just ways of opening that line of communication. If there is an issue, we can address it and have that communication. Or it's just a matter of, hey, we want to do something really fun in your building. Chef Natalia is going to come do an action station, and we're going to saute for your elementary kids. Those are the things that we're going to see down the road this year. So I will hand that off next to Chef Natalia to review some of the things that we're doing versus prior year.
Perfect. Good evening, everybody. Yes, now it's the fun stuff, right? So comparison from last year to this year, so we do serve at all levels, all white chicken meat. That's a product that it's in the chicken patty, chicken tenders, boneless chicken wings. And when I say that, think about Chick-fil-A at all levels, right? So I think that's the great, and that has been going great. Like when we sampled last year, it went really good, and kids were just excited to have it. And now I think this is the favorite item on the grill station. So also we've focused a lot on how do we present, how do we customize the menu offerings for all levels. So at junior high and high schools, you would like this year we'd have multiple selection from fruits and vegetables, and those would be like the fresh watermelons, fresh grapes, red peppers, cucumbers, zucchini, grape tomatoes. So the selection is so much wider. If last year we would pre-cup everything or bagged everything, this year is like for junior high and high school, it's like a cold bar where they can see the rainbow, and it's so much more appealing versus seeing a piece of plastic that your food is wrapped in, right? Also I think the great hit is that at the junior high school, we did open that section of the cold bar where we have the toppings of the fresh lettuce, pickles, fresh tomatoes, and onions, and it's been going crazy, special pickles. I think like pickles goes with everything for them, which is great. As far as sauces is another thing. Like we would have last year the pre-packed packages of like, standard ketchup, mayo, ranch, and things like that. This year we implement having the made from scratch sauces that are rotating on a weekly basis, such as sriracha sauce, atomic sauce, or boom boom sauce. Like it's just crazy names that they are like, what is that? But when they try it, it's just like literally they'll come with a little cup and just squeeze as much as they can in it. But then again, this is just gives them a little bit of the customizable item, and they coming back again and again, and they like, and share with friends. And that's, I think, mouth to mouth, that word is going out, and kids are coming more to have lunch with us. So we also expanded the menu options because we've heard a lot last year with vegetarian options being something that we need to have. And I think that's what we focused this year with elementary level, junior high, and high schools, where we have, for the hot lunches, we have every day a vegetarian option available at elementary level. Junior high, we have multiple, as we do have the grab-and-go items, and we have several salads and bento boxes and sandwiches that are rotated on a weekly basis on our cycle, which is 5 weeks. And then of course, the high school is my favorite because they are like, we can play with multiple recipes, and we have multiple versions of vegan, vegetarian, and regular options, gluten-free, so we can actually enhance any dietary needs for students. So I said that this year is really like labor involving for all of us, but this is also a great opportunity for us to show kids that there is multiple choices for you to choose from.
Just wanted to add on the vegetarian and vegan options. I know that the students were having a hard time kind of seeing all of the different options that we had, and I'm sure you guys can attest to it. So if you walk into the cafeteria and on the menus now, we've highlighted the vegetarian and vegan options in green, and also done the menu identifiers in green, and the labels on the bento boxes and things like that, so kids can easily identify that when they walk in. And they can ask the servers and everything at the station identifiers as well for if they need something else.
Where else can they access this information? Is there an app? Do we have it on our apps, or?
We have a NutriSlice app, and it is directly linked to the school menu, and it's customized by school. So you can go to NutriSlice.com, and it's on the school district's website. There's a hyperlink on there, and it takes you to the menu page. You just type the name of your school, because as we know, vendors sometimes, depending upon when the delivery came in, they might have substituted an item. So each school, while the menu might be the same, they might have been substituted, let's say a French toast bite versus a French toast stick. So they'll go in and they'll update that information so it's accurate for the nurse for their location. Parents and students are able to actually go ahead and sort, and if they are vegetarian or vegan, they can sort by that. If they're allergic to soy, they can take that out. So it will tell them all of the menu options that are available to them to eat.
Okay, so let me ask my our student members, board members, would you want to see the items for the day or for the week or for the month? And if you do, is NutriSlice a place or an app that you would use or you would go to? Or where would you want, where would be the most convenient place for you to access this information? Do you even look at it? Do you want to look at it? Help me.
Do I have to introduce myself still?
I'm sorry?
Hi, it's okay. Hi, I'm Callie Parnell. For me, I don't really find a need for me to see what the menu is. I feel like it's more fun to just walk into the lunchroom and see, like, okay, what's the menu for today? But I feel for people who are vegetarian, who are vegan, who like non-gluten and stuff, I feel like it would be a great opportunity to see what's coming up next week and what they can do to either pack a lunch, different customizable things that they can use.
Absolutely, we can use that for like the Did You Knows, like what's coming up this week. Did you know if you were? We can use that as the post to kind of get that message out there. So great feedback, thank you.
For me, I would say I use a lot of emails, so sending out emails I feel like would be a little bit more profound way to gather students to see the menu for the week. An app might be a little bit tedious only because say a student doesn't download the app or doesn't know how to work an app versus seeing something on an email, which is just a click and you see a chart, or implementing a chart as you walk into the lunchroom could also be a really good idea to pull students in. But I do like the app idea. It's just like students being able to work an app, especially like depending on, because I know students that don't have phones. It's kind of crazy, but I know students who like don't have phones. So I like the idea. That would be my only like regard, like the little offset to it. But emails would be like perfect, I think, for students.
So you would rather have it going to your student emails versus your parent?
Yeah. As a high school, I say, because sometimes our parents forget.
Look at this.
I'm Sahana.
Speak louder.
Sorry. I'm Sahana. I go to OE. One recommendation I have is, I don't know how it is at OHS, but we have weekly student announcements that we, as club, like, as board members, we can submit slides to that display in the comments on the TVs right down there. So I think it would be really cool if you guys could put out the menus for lunch there, because they just play it every single day on repeat.
On a weekly?
Yeah, on a weekly basis. So it's perfect.
I love that idea.
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of new options this year. It's a little bit intimidating when you walk in there, which is all good things, but I think it'd be really great if students could see before they enter the lunchroom. So it's not just what
Great.
I know, right?
They don't
They don't need us.
One other question for the NutriSlice app is it advertised in the cafeteria, and is there a QR code for them just to download it? Okay, perfect.
It's right on the menu, and it's also on the menu board as they walk in. There's a giant QR code there as well. That's great.
And would it be or suggestion is to also put it on the slide that will be in the hallway?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
We can do that.
So here you guys have a built-in focus group.
Yes,
And that's amazing.
Bring samples
Thank
next
you.
time.
One of the things I would strongly suggest and urge is that these four also have a backup of like an entire committee. Absolutely. And I would urge you to Dr. Waller, email Dr. Waller and see if you can get on an agenda and have them, have opportunities for feedback. And I would also maybe encourage you to talk to them about looking at our demographic breakdown. I think it could be very positive. And as someone who formerly worked for Google Food, we really believed that food is community, and using maybe an ethnic breakdown of our students and being able to feature food that students wouldn't normally see in their food district or in their school district, that could also make them feel like they see themselves in the food. And then to the holidays and stuff, two of the holidays that were the biggest deal for us at Google Food were Star Wars Day. We did all menus around Star Wars Day. And then, believe it or not, Martin Luther King Day. We did menus around Martin Luther King, and those are our two most popular holidays for Google Food that we really dove in and built really great experiences around the food. So, and then one last thing is that just giving you a little feedback from the 7th graders, that the eat in last period, their sandwiches are soggy, and I promised I would let you know that.
All right, so just a couple pictures as we talked about what we've done differently this year versus last year. So that how would look our chicken sandwich, right? Last year versus this year. The breakfast pizzas we do, the made from scratch, real slice of pizza versus pre-made one. Sandwiches, nothing is wrong with biscuit, but I think everybody kind of get tired of that. So now you have a breakfast sandwich on a croissant bun. So that has been a part of our sampling during the bid, and we said I think this is a hit and it has to go through all of the kids. And this is how our cold bar would look for junior high school, and you see the sauces there and the toppings, and I think that's a big hit right there. Yes, and here are just several display places. Patty mentioned earlier about elementary schools. So you see the first 3 pictures would be from our last 2 weeks elementary display plates with a refried rice and vegetable and chicken dumplings. We had a turkey bacon cheeseburger there. We have a old-fashioned patty melt. And the other one is just the chicken Creole bowl. That's the new recipe for this year for the junior high school, and it went really good. Some of the items you already been seeing, but I also wanted to highlight the grab-and-go items, the wraps and the bento boxes that has been a huge hit for junior high and high schools. Sometimes it's just like, as everybody knows, they're rushing into the cafeteria, grabbing a meal, and they are ready to go. And most of the time, those wraps and the bento boxes are already complete reimbursable meal. Another thing I wanted really to highlight, and I think that's a great test kitchen version of all you can eat at different dietary needs. Because we can have their vegan, you can have their vegetarian option, you can have a gluten-free option. So it was just, well, last year we just started this test kitchen. It's a grain bowl, right? So instead of like, just rice, you have rice, quinoa, lentils in there. And last year when we started, it was just the end of school year, and kids didn't really care about it. But this year, as we put a lot of other toppings, so I guess the toppings is the secret for any dish, it became so popular. So it's really, really nice thing, and I really want to have that as a picture there so you guys can see. It's a healthy, trendy grain bowl. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'll just wrap it up. I think one thing that we can all agree on is the state of Illinois finally did something right, and they made us so we were no longer a low bid state. And what that does is that allows us to do these items for you versus kind of what you've seen in the past for the race to the bottom in our contracts. So I'm thankful that you guys gave us the opportunity to talk about our participation a little bit, our goals for communication, and really kind of some of the changes that we've made within your community and within your district. And we look forward to engaging with the students and focus groups and getting the feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
See you all next quarter.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys, I'm gonna ask if we could move 10.1, which is the approval of,
10.1?
wait,
Oh, yeah,
10.1, the action item for the district administrator contracts, if we could move that up. We have Ashley Richardson here today, and she has her family, and there's a little baby, and we want to get them home. And so we're gonna, if you guys, do I need to make a motion, or? I make a motion to move action item 10.1 to 6 point,
1.5.
what?
6.2.
6.2.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, not- that's not my job. Go on.
Ms. Simulton?
Aye.
Ms. Venmus?
Aye.
Mr. Ploger?
Aye.
Dr. Murillo?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Cerrone?
Aye.
Mr. Gatewood?
Aye.
So, you don't have a okay.
We got to vote on it now.
Good evening, board.
We vote
First
first?
vote.
Well, don't we?
Yeah,
Huh?
let's
We moved it. Now we got to get a motion.
vote first and then you speak. Yeah.
We're just going to make the motions. And
You got to make
yeah.
the motion for
Yeah.
Make the motion for 6.
I just
Okay.
did.
No, that
No.
was to move it.
That was to move
That
it.
was
You want me to
to
make
move it,
the
yeah.
motion now to?
Yes.
Okay. To approve it. Make a motion to approve the district administrator contract as discussed and presented.
Second.
Mr. Gatewood?
Aye.
Dr. Murillo?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Cerrone?
Aye.
Ms. Simulton?
Aye.
Mr. Ploger?
Aye.
Ms. Venmus?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
I want to invite Dr. Paul with introducing Mr. Richardson.
We're so excited that Ashley has said yes to being our college and career readiness coordinator. Ashley is currently a site director and educational consultant for Amplify. Ashley began her career as an English and reading instructor at Thornton Township District in Dolton, Illinois. Through the interview process, Ashley's strengths became readily apparent for the College and Career Readiness Coordinator, including her ability to collaboratively problem solve and make data-informed decisions that positively impact students and staff. Her experience in educational leadership, working with diverse stakeholder groups, and student-centered decision-making will be a great asset to the learning innovation team. Welcome, Ashley.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we want to, Mr. Obafemi, we have a presentation from PMA Securities. We want to welcome Bob Lewis. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Mr. Lewis comes to us with PMA, and Mr. Lewis actually presented to the Finance and Facility Committee last month, and actually it's this month, just earlier this month. And the topic of Mr. Lewis' presentation is the refunding of outstanding GO bond, general obligation bond. We have an opportunity to refund and to save the taxpayers some money. And Mr. Lewis, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you very much for having me here tonight. So just to summarize, currently the district has 8 bond issues outstanding, which is the lowest number you've had in a long time, because the district's done a lot to pay down its debt. This principal page you see at the bottom used to be 2 pages to cover it all. So
this is a celebration?
This is this is good news. Yeah.
We're getting close.
Good, close. Not yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have 2 bond series that are callable in the next couple years here. The one that's callable in the not too distant future that we talked about the Finance Committee meeting is the 2015 bonds, which have a 4% interest rate on them currently. There's about 11.8 million that are callable. Just as a reminder, municipal bonds, you can't refinance them anytime you want. Like a home mortgage, you have to wait to get to the call date. And then, so the call date on this bond issue is February 1st of 25, but you can close on any financing to refund it as early as November 1st. So that's why we're talking here now, is because that's in the present. And the 16 bonds would callable 1 year later. So hopefully at this time next year, we'll be talking about the 16 bonds as a potential refunding opportunity. It's a larger financing with a higher interest rate. So I anticipate that that one will be a viable candidate a year from now. So this is the updated savings analysis. This is better than what the Finance Committee saw, because interest rates have come down a bit here recently. The estimated savings are in the far right column. The total reduction in tax levies would be about $360,000. I believe the Finance Committee, when they met, determined that it would like to see a minimum of $300,000 of savings in order to proceed. So when I was at the Finance Committee meeting, we were below that on the estimate, and now we're a bit above it. At the bottom, there are 2 more yellow lines. One of that is the present value of the savings, because it is over a period of time. It's not all up front. So the present value is over $300,000 too, at $307,000. So currently, this is not locked in. This is the estimate based off the recent market. And this matrix is just a sensitivity matrix. It shows you how the savings can fluctuate as interest rates change. So the current market is the $360,000. If interest rates were to increase by 0.25%, that would fall to $192. And conversely, if interest rates were to fall another 0.25%, it could increase up to $528,000.
So the only thing I'd ask here is, is the next rate cut pretty much baked in?
Yeah, so the rate cuts are baked in, and the expectation of actually every
Another
rate
one in
cut after
December,
that's
right?
baked in. Pardon?
Another one in December.
Yeah, I think they meet next in
November.
And then again in December. Yeah, and the market's already factored in rate cuts of 0.25% at each of those meetings, and additionally the next meetings. But remember, when the Federal Reserve cuts rates, they're cutting the short-term rates. The medium and long-term rates are sort of baked in that those cuts were already going to happen. So in fact, even since the Fed had actually cut the short-term rate 50 basis points last week, medium long-term rates have actually ticked up a little bit. So medium long-term rates don't necessarily follow current Fed action. So this would be the timeline of events if the board decides to proceed. So we're presenting tonight to the full board. October 7th is when the board had the opportunity to consider resolution, and the main parameter of that resolution would be to set a minimum savings of $300,000. And then the earliest then we could sell after that would be approximately October 21st. That's what we set up for the timeline. And then if the market is favorable at that time to lock in $300,000 or more, then the bonds would be sold and the rate would be locked in then, and then they would close on November 4th in that window of time that they can be refinanced. So that's the presentation. Anything else to add?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Just to be clear, the district doesn't realize personally any savings. There's no proceed to the district from this refunding. The benefit is strictly to the taxpayer. So this amount of interest rate that we will have paid, close to 370, we will pay this in interest payment to the bondholders from taxpayers' contribution. This will result in a savings to them. So I think that's important to point out. Thank you.
Very important.
Yeah, one other point I would make that I made at the Finance Committee, it's oftentimes a question that's asked is there any change in the repayment term? You know, sometimes people will get a reduction in their mortgage payment. Well, they did it because they extended the payment. And that's not the case here. The bonds are currently scheduled to mature in 2030. The refunding bonds would also mature in 2030. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much for your time tonight.
So are we basically giving direction that if there's a $300,000 savings, then we will proceed?
So what we're essentially asking the board is to give us the go-ahead to follow the proposed schedule by PMA to do this particular refunding, because we believe it's in the best interest of taxpayers of this community.
Yeah, we agree. Is it going to be an action item next meeting?
Yes,
Yeah.
next board meeting, yes.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you, sir.
Lewis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank the Finance Committee and Mr. Obafemi and his team for tracking this carefully. We know timing matters in this business, and so we know you'll continue to watch that judiciously. I know last year we realized some additional savings by pausing when we did, so I'm sure you'll continue that and bring that update to the board if needed. So next are we doing the 6.2. We want to invite, we have
6.3 now.
6.3 now. Thank you for the correction. We have our master facility presentation. Part of the charge in last week, we had we were invited to join the village trustees with an open session presentation to discuss our strategic plan, more importantly, really to talk about a lot of the developments happening in our area. And so, board, during that presentation, one of the things that I highlighted was the importance of a master facility plan anytime we start to think about student assignment planning. This has been a priority. I want to thank Mr. Obafemi, Mr. Queen, Amanda Sitar, Dr. Kincaid, Andre, and for the team for really organizing this. And tonight we have the presentation, and Mr. Obafemi will open for us. And welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Dr. Kalgadi. As part of what we know should be a school district's way of doing business is periodically, we have a master facility plan that looks at the state of our master facility, which will be the assessment, and then we have conversation with our community members, our students, our educators, and board members to dream about what we anticipate our needs will be like 5, 10, 20 years from now, and come up with a design frame for that. And once we finish that part of it, then we have to think about how much is it going to cost us for those things to happen. And once we get that part of it, then the final part will be where we get the money to pay for it. And this is something the school district should do periodically. I'll venture to say probably every 10 years to do a master facility plan. And as far as we know, we've never done this before. So this is an attempt for us to do what we believe is absolutely necessary for us to do. So as part of the process, we did a request for proposal from qualified firms who have the ability, the experience to be able to do this work. We had some wonderful submission, and from those submissions, we invited the top rated, based on the rubric that we use, 5 firms to come in and actually present to us in person. And we asked them questions, and from that list of 5, we asked the 3 finalists to then come back again and answer some more questions and provide us some more information. From that assessment process, we're recommending White and Company to be approved by the board to do the master facility planning. As part of the process, we've asked White and McKinstry do a presentation and also allow the board the opportunity to ask questions and to provide answers to the board. I'm going to hand it over to Brad Paulson from White and Company. Sitting next to him is Stuart, and next to him is Tim.
Yeah, thank you very much. Again, my name is Brad Paulson with White and Company. I am the K-12 education practice leader, senior vice president with the company. I've been doing education, school facilities my entire career, going back a few years. Just leave it at that. Stuart Brodsky, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, Stuart Brodsky. I'm an architect and also been doing educational facility design and planning for longer than I want to admit, and decades, in fact, and excited to be here. One of my favorite parts of the process is master planning, and I think dreaming is a great way to put it, that we look forward to the opportunity to work with you on that.
And I'm Tim McAvoy. I'm an engineer with McKinstry. We are supporting White and Company on the facility assessment portion. And I'm very passionate. I have 3 young children as well in school age, so very passionate about helping the K through 12 environment. Oh, sure. Yeah, so McKinstry, we are a national engineering and consulting firm. We have Midwest offices in Chicago, Madison, Minneapolis. We do a lot of things, but most specific for today is strategic facility planning, energy optimization, renewables. We also help with smart and connected buildings, building controls, as well as funding and grant solutions to help to pay for some of those projects.
And a little bit about White and Company. We are based in Darien, Illinois, so not too far from here. Actually just celebrated our 85th anniversary over the weekend. 3rd generation ownership, still going strong. It's actually a little bit of a homecoming for our firm. We were going through this process, and we actually did a lot of work for District 308 back as far back as the 80s and early 90s. So we have some good familiarity and some information on some of your older buildings. One of the things that is on the screen there is we've done some pretty major facility master plans and building improvements for similar district as you, a large unit district. Elmhurst School District 205. Been working with them for about 25 years and just finishing a 6-year building program following the implementation of a facility master plan. Naperville School District 203 we've worked with as well, and just most recently completed Indian Prairie School District 204 right next door, a facility master plan for that district as well. And we're excited to be partnered with McKinstry. We've done some work together recently for some other building assessments and planning efforts. So we think we have a good proposal, a good team together. When we start this process, we always like to start with the end. What are we going to get in the end? What is a long-range facility master plan supposed to do? What is it going to give you? And really what it is a comprehensive roadmap for your district that touches on a lot of different issues. It touches on the impact on students. It provides an actionable facility plan using data to make annual facility investments in the infrastructure and the conditions of your building. Most importantly, it's aligned with your strategic plan, your vision, your goals. It has individual building solutions, but also an overarching solution for the entire district. And then, of course, it gets into what are the funding needs and what's the best strategy to implement those. So that entire package comes together, and all school districts want to know how those impacts and how those costs get broken out. So there's a lot of different categories that can be created to kind of articulate your story and kind of plan your individual investments over a period of time. The process we use to do that in a very simple diagram. It doesn't look simple, but it actually is. And we'll go through this in detail for you, but essentially at the beginning we want to assemble all the information, assess your buildings, figure out what the needs are, talk to teams, talk to the individual schools, engage students, engage staff along the way. Using that information, we want to begin developing facility plans, laying out roadmaps, engage the community through that process to evaluate that, all the while through going engaging with a steering committee, which would be designed and selected and kind of navigating through this whole process. And in the end, the board would have and the district would have a long-range facility master plan, which would enable you to figure out and begin to answer a lot of questions. What action do you want to take with it? How are you going to deliver it? How would you go ahead and pay for it? And in the end, hopefully you've built a lot of engagement and trust with your community and with your staff to have everybody on board with the direction you want to head over anywhere from, who knows, 15 to 20 years. So that's kind of a big picture. I'm going to turn it over to Stuart now, and Stuart and Tim, and we're going to get into some of the details about what's in our proposal. I know our proposal is actually attached to your board memo, so.
Yeah, and we'll try to keep this at an overview level, even though you see a lot of detail on the slides. But I think the main point of this slide is that your request for letter of interest had 6 primary objectives. So the point here is that our proposal includes all of them. If I were to look at any successful master plan, they include all 6 of these ingredients or objectives. The first 3 are really going to happen in the first half of the process. We'll talk about the schedule in a moment. And then the next 3, although I would say engagement of some type happens throughout the next 3, really happen at the back half of it, say, from the summer onward. And again, we'll hit the schedule in a moment. So on the next slide, thank you. We believe in tailoring every master plan to meet the district's needs and the unique needs of the facilities. So we've studied your facilities, the 22 buildings, 3.3 million square feet. And I think there's 2 good news pieces or unique opportunities here. One of which is you have some prototype buildings and they come into groups. So there's an opportunity for us to, I would say, streamline but focus the master planning process on the quality of the solutions without having to cover so many unique buildings, a lot of prototypes. We can really organize ourselves. It creates an opportunity to really focus on equity as a result of the master plan. And then finally, you're going to see in your schedule, your strategic planning process is happening at the same time as we are going to be developing the master plan, particularly the first 2 phases, and that will provide an opportunity to coordinate. So the master plan really results out of your goals and your vision educationally and operationally. On the next phase, we have the first 2 phases are really the needs assessment. Phase 1 is the facility conditions assessment. Tim will talk about that in much more detail, but in simplicity, that's where we're really looking at materials and systems. And your facilities team, under Bill's leadership, need this information. It's critical for their operation. Whereas phase 2 is really educational alignment. That's where we're going to look at modern learning environments. We're going to help build some programming, and we'll call it a rubric or an assessment methodology. We'll go in, we'll look at your buildings and evaluate them based on that and identify the needs. This aspect is critical for your students and your teachers and your administrators. It's what they experience daily. And then finally in phase 3 is really where we develop and evaluate options that come out of the master plan. It's where it all comes together. We establish a long-range plan, and it becomes the integrated plan for the future with all the aspects. So we really believe in the old adage, start with the end in mind. So the first series of things we're going to be doing is about setting in place a process that's going to be successful and enduring throughout. So it means we're going to work closely with you to confirm the schedule, who's participating in the process, to make sure it's fully engaged, involves both within the district and your community. Whereas phases 1 and 2 I talked about will be a little bit more focused of involvement with the district and selective community, and whereas phase 3, that's where we're really going to engage in earnest more broadly with the community. We need to dig in hard and make sure we have really good accurate floor plan documents to do the study efforts. So we're going to be doing that, and then we're going to be aligning it with the schedule of your strategic plan. I've explained a lot of this in the schedule already, but let's flip to the schedule slide. So that green bar at the top represents the timeline of your strategic planning process. It started, it concludes in the spring, and if you'll notice, phase one, which is the conditions assessment, really operates underneath that. And the truth is, phase two, even though it's a phase two, there are many simultaneous activities. Phase one starts as soon as you approve our proposal, and we'll go through February of 25, where we will produce an initial report, and then we will continue and refine it and complete that by the end of the school year. Phase two overlaps with that. It's a staggered start. We'll kick into that in November. We're going to need to make sure the majority of that happens while everybody is still in school, because we need to engage with you on that quite a bit. And that will complete in lockstep with phase one at the end of the school year. What that'll allow us to do is have all the needs assessment ready, and it's important that we do that first. Then we'll start planning. Over the summer, we can take a step back, create planning solutions and options, develop them, and then come present ideas to you in the fall. We'll start developing conceptual costing, so you'll begin to understand the magnitude of that. But that's really when the community engagement more broadly will begin, where we'll engage, and we're going to organize that community engagement effort more broadly with the two communities that feed into each high school, so we can make it relevant to the needs of those neighborhoods and those schools in a unique way. So we're going to focus on a little bit more detail on the phases. Tim's going to talk about one. I'll talk about phase 2 and 3 in more detail, as particularly as time allows, and I'll allow Tim to talk.
Thank you. Yeah, so phase 1 is the phase that we'll be leading. It is the facility conditions assessment phase, otherwise known as FCA. The FCA is a process of cataloging all the assets and systems that are in your school facilities. So anything from the interior floor to the roofs to the windows to the heating and cooling equipment. We want to see what kind of condition they're in, and then we want to assign a estimated cost of replacement. And with those two pieces of information, you can start to make smart investment decisions for next year, as well as the long-range facility master plan. So it's a 4-step process. We start with the planning phase, where we take all the existing information, like the life safety reports, all the information that the facilities team that are there in the building every day can give to us. And then we ourselves go out there and assess, collect the the asset data, and then we analyze that data, and then we reveal and show the asset workbook in a easy capital planning dashboard. So yeah, thanks. Just want to highlight a couple differences in the traditional or typical FCA approach and our FCA approach. So on the left, you'll see it's a 400+ static written building system report. It's not real easy to digest, whereas our approach, we're actually adding more information and more data, but we can do that because we have an easily digestible dashboard to work through that data. So you can see in that heat map there with the red, orange, and yellow, red is bad, it's more critical. Yellow is less critical. You can click into those boxes, and it's got all the additional information. It's quite small here, but it's got a lot of information when you do click into those boxes. We're not just giving each asset one score, we're giving it multiple scores, and that allows us a lot more ability through the planning process. So we're not just giving you the condition, but we're also how critical is that asset. If it does fail, how much of the school will go down. If there's energy savings involved, and if there's energy savings, that's operational savings, that's greenhouse gas reductions. That also opens up NICOR and ComEd utility incentives, Inflation Reduction Act possibly money, state grant money. We'll also look at the observed remaining life, so not just the book value, not just saying your rooftop unit is 15 years old, it should be replaced because ASHRAE, who's the expert, says 15 years. But the operating conditions, that really impacts how long something does last. How many hours does it run a year? How well has it been maintained? We want to capture that information and not just tell you how old something is. And once we do that, we don't just assign a year that it's going to be replaced. Capital planning, this planning process is going to be very dynamic. There's going to be a lot of different ways to fund these capital projects, and we want to have a tool that can easily analyze all of those different solutions so that we can create the best pathway forward for you.
Okay, as we launch into phase 2, we're really looking at the learning environment, the site, and safety and security. Those are kind of really the 4 things. Also the occupancy and the capacity of a building, which really has a lot to do with how you use it educationally. And one of the things we like about the facility conditions assessment being in an indexing format is that we're going to be looking at different types of categories of improvements that are going to be needed in different places, and we want to make sure they overlap in the right way and are coordinated with the facility conditions improvements so that we aren't putting a master plan in place that requires you to do anything more than once over the life of a building. So there's a unique opportunity there. But phase 2 is really, as architects and educational planners, where our heart lies, because this is where you really get to, we're translating your strategic educational needs into a program or an evaluation process. We can then look at the facilities and come up eventually with solutions, or at least identify the needs, then solutions. So that's all brought together along with the facility conditions assessment in phase 3. And this is where we begin to develop solutions. We look at them area by area, school by school, type of building by type of building. We haven't mentioned this yet, but we will be developing with you both a steering committee and academic advisory committees that we will meet with periodically through both phase 2 and 3, and that we will then come back to in phase 1 and 2, and then in phase 3 we'll come back and really engage around the solutions. We'll be honing the schedule. We'll be developing conceptual cost estimating, so you'll understand the order of magnitude costs associated with improvements. And this is where we really launch community engagement. I already mentioned the fact that we found the most successful way to do that is have separate meetings for each of the feeder patterns for each high school. That involves all the schools where your students' families have sort of lived it for all 12 years of their academic career with you. And by bringing them together, we can collectively hear the needs of the challenges of both of those communities. We'll bring that process together, work through solutions, hear the feedback, and then by the end of the year, in 25, we will have a master plan that then can be ready for adoption by the board, so that after that you can begin looking at opportunities to fund different ways to do that and how the project breaks down into buckets of cost and types and schedules and all those details. So that concludes our presentation. Do you want to say anything, Brad? So we're here to entertain any questions you have and be happy to answer that now.
I have a question, but it's actually for you, Mr. Queen. How does this new plan, how does that fall in with the master plan that you've been working on? I mean, is yours more immediate, or?
Yes, this is more detailed, more in depth with the information that we are documenting. Yeah.
Okay, so yours is more day-to-day at this point in time?
Day-to-day, the best that I could do with my team. This is on a grander scale.
Got it.
By far.
Thank you.
It's been stated, but I just wanted to, the steering committee I think is a wonderful idea, and I know that you said that the team will be created with us, but I just want to make sure that students are a part of that team.
I think we envision making sure that our students, our staff, and community members that we've talked to, some of them have actually volunteered, will be doing outreach to make, this is a process for the community, for everyone who has a stake in the school district. They should have a voice to be able to make a determination. The next 5, 10, 15 years, our resources are allocated for the upkeep and the maintenance of the facility. This is their facility. They pay for it, and they should have a voice in it.
I also liked, it was a unique perspective when you said talk to the high school, where the families that have been a part of the high school. I think the families that have been there all 12 years will have a unique perspective, inclusive, not just different perspective, because they've been through it, and, as well as the students and the families that are currently in it. I think that it would just add value for those who already went through it too. So I like that you said that.
Part of the unique opportunity that in engaging in this process that is we'll be very strategic about ensuring that we get all voices, not just the squeaky wheel. I think that can be a mistake in, let's say, in traditional development or planning. You try to just go out there and say, okay, here's a flyer, who's coming, and you just count on who shows up. We're going to be really intentional, and so I appreciate the comments overall, every part of this. And so one of the things that was important when we looked at the white group's experience in kind of organizing, that was definitely a prominent feature in their ability to engage community and have some experience in doing that. So maybe you want to speak to that a little bit about how you've engaged community stakeholders in some of your recent projects.
Well, I would say every school district, every community has a different path. So I can talk about Indian Prairie School District 204, maybe because that's most recent, maybe the most relevant too. We went through a similar process. We had community open houses organized by each of their 3 high schools. A lot of direct engagement with them. It was activity based. It wasn't just architects and engineers or school administrators presenting to the group. We had specific targeted questions and activities that we proposed. At times, we've actually followed it up with a broader survey, an electronic survey. That's another valuable tool. The reality is, as much as you would love to have the community open houses and have people come and engage with you, the way we are, the way things are in communities right now, it's not as, you can't rely upon that. So you need to touch and reach out to people to get as much information you can in multiple ways.
Great.
Much probably like you're going to go through with your strategic planning process. So that's why these two process could really be like 1 + 1 = 3. You're going to be able to create a lot of value and engagement through these two processes.
I'll add that as part of the superintendent's advisory group that we launched last year, there's a lot of interest, both around the strategic planning that we're going to be doing and that we have been doing through our strategic roadmap and now moving to our strategic plan, number one. Number two, that I would say energy of folks who were part of that are really excited to participate and also get rallied support for the other work. And so both through engaging our departments like learning and innovation and diverse learners, but also in terms of getting support. There are a number of folks that, I didn't participate in the superintendent's advisory group, but I really want to participate in the master facility planning. So you definitely have quite a few people. I've already spoken with lots of people who said, well, please sign me up for that. And in some cases, we're saying, we need you in that. And actually at the village meeting last week, we talked and we invited members of the village board to come and join us as well in that process.
Yeah, one thing I'll add, that in addition to the work that White & Company's done, I'm actually I'm a school board member on another LUDA district that's been through this process, so I've been in all of your seats before and navigated through all of these issues we talked about. So whatever little lens I can bring and add to the mix for consideration, I'm excited about that. I love helping school districts, and I get to see it from two sides.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
Just a quick clarification. I think you're saying that the master facility plan also includes outdoor space of the facilities as well, does it include the athletic spaces at the high school that are outdoors? Or is that something that's separate from the work that you will do?
That would be included.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question and then just voice a concern, but I think that you've already kind of addressed it. You brought in our diverse learners, so that's the part that I want to make sure that we get consistency and that they're able to follow their peers into the next grade level and things along those lines. So our special education community, our Yale communities, things like that. So, but then the question I had was, we're looking at potential capacity limitations relatively soon. I see that the phases bring us to December of next year. Is that going to be enough time to kind of make some adjustments? Or are we going to have to kind of go forward before we get that?
I guess the part that we didn't mention exclusively is that with the master facility planning, there's going to be some connection with our demographer.
Yes.
So they will inevitably have to work with our demographer, Irish speaking. And the demographic figure will figure into the educational design that will be part of the phase 2 and phase 3. So that will make sure that where our facility is right now, where our facility is going to be in the future, is going to take into consideration where population is growing.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're not looking at any overcapacity, issues
Dr.
while we're
Kincaid,
going through this process.
do you want to speak a little bit to kind of what we brought up last week around the capacity issues and how we may in the short term think about some of those and versus long term? I think those were very relevant and important.
Yep. So we had the opportunity last week to speak at the Village of Oswego meeting in conjunction with RSP, who conducted our enrollment analysis. Right now, we're looking at, with the growth along Wolf's Crossing, in terms of subdivision additions, some capacity issues for Southbury and then potentially Long Beach in terms of where we would have to potentially look at some student assignment changes. So along with that, we're also very committed to our dual language and SEI programs and our special ed programming. So under the direction of Dr. Dubiel, we've been doing some analysis about the location of our programs within the district, also in conjunction with our transportation department with Mr. Obafemi. So those are just some of the things on our horizons as we look forward into this winter, re-engaging some additional conversations along those lines.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Other questions, Jen?
Go ahead.
Please.
I insist.
I have a couple of different questions for different people. What, Raphael, do you see the benefit of the $100,000 more that this vendor brings, and how do we justify spending that kind of money?
So that's an excellent question. When it comes to this type of work, we take cost into consideration. But I think a bigger consideration is the expertise that they bring. Now, if we look at the facility assessment software that McKinstry bring, is industry breaking. You see people, what they do when they do a facility assessment, they walk around your building, they measure how many square footage you have, they measure how many classrooms they have, and that's the extent of the facility assessment. What they offer to do is much more detail, layered detail of information that we will use into the future. As it stands right now, for example, when we determine what we fix, what we don't fix in a district, we don't have a good, true system that we use to determine that. Their system provides us that. As Tim mentioned earlier, the opportunities for us to be able to look at funding sources. For example, when it comes to electricity, lowering the cost of electricity, lowering the heating cost, they have the ability to provide us the tools and the data that we can use to do that, where your regular facility assessment doesn't provide you that. So those are the value add that we're looking at. We just don't look at just the dollar. We look at the unique experience and the core competency that they bring to the engagement. And when it comes to that, they're head over shoulder above anybody else. This was something we spent a lot of time deliberating on. We have 2 rounds of interview. And after each interview, they came out better than everybody else.
So over the roughly 12 months that we spend with this, or however many months it is, the total that we will see is $380,000. We will not incur any other fees for what they're bringing to the table.
Not for the master facility planning.
Okay. And then how often will the board how does reporting back to the board work? Like, how do we know what's happening, when it's happening, so forth?
What you ordinarily do is you have it in phases. After phase one is complete, there'll be a report that will be presented to the board just like this. We'll provide it ahead of time before this meeting. You have an opportunity to look at it. And then we'll have them come in and do a presentation just like they're doing tonight. You have an opportunity to ask them questions about it. Then we'll move on to phase two, same thing. And then phase three, same thing. And then the other part that we're not talking about here, which we didn't ask for in the RFP, but which we believe is an important part, is the support that we'll need to then say, we have all this cost, all these things that we need to do, how do we pay for it? And that is something that this group, when we talk to everybody else, they actually have done better than everyone else. They're currently providing support with 204 Indian Prairie, doing exactly that right now. And none of the submission that we received had that component as part of it. Because at the end of the day, if we did all this and we don't have the money to pay for, or ideas of how we get the resources to make the changes that we need, it's just an exercise in futility.
I mean, there's no doubt, I think, in anyone's mind that we need this. I mean, I don't think that's the question. Where my concern comes in is making this decision is really going to mostly affect a new board. And so and obviously a few of our current members, but asking, I mean, do we make this decision and this is something that they are then, in charge of and stewarding, is just something that's in the back of my head. Who takes on in our district, like, the workload of this? Like, who is, like, really working with these guys day to day? And
Day to day will be our facility team, Bill and his team, and I'll be providing support to him the way I always do.
And so then what does he do? What about his day job? Like,
No, so that's that's part of the investment is that you actually have a project manager. I mean, I think we have an individual in the back. You want to come up and speak to your role in this, which I think part of the investment is really recognizing that this is not a task that's a small task, and the amount of work it requires is pretty significant. That responsibility does not fall on Bill. He's the liaison, but really the firm is who we're really hiring to take the lead.
but what I'm getting at is, are there going to be disruptions to the academic setting? Are we going to be asking principals to answer stuff? Are we going to I guess I'm looking at what the load is on our current, employees and what that looks like. Also knowing that at least for roughly 4 or 5 months, they are all working towards a strategic plan. All these folks have a role in building a strategic plan. And so I just want to make sure that we're considering workloads and balancing that.
Yeah, that is also the reason why first of all, the timeline can be expanded, right? So there's flexibility in that. This is a proposed one. If we see that one requires a little bit more time, our commitment is to get a strategic plan by February. Does that mean we can equally do the same amount of work around the master facility plan engagement? That may be after, right? So there's flexibility in that we will be paying attention to, and that's really important to know. We want to do this well. We don't want to do this rushed.
Right, and I don't want this to get...
there's no goal for that. So I want to invite you to speak to the project management a little bit work that you've described.
Hi, I'm Nidhi Shah. I'm the project manager at White & Company. So I will be kind of working with you day to day, organizing, scheduling, be the main client contact, kind of making sure we're moving forward in the way you guys want to. And, a lot of that, that work falls on our end to make sure we're getting the information we need from you and we're moving forward. We're not looking to do any cumbersome work for you guys. We're really here to do that for you, to make sure you're getting this plan and getting all the information we need. But yeah.
And I can just say, based on experience, I've done a number of this in other districts. It's never been something that added work to other folks' job. It's supposed to be a blueprint that helps us determine how we manage our facility. I can't envision how a district our size can operate with facility management, maintenance, without a master facility plan.
I don't disagree. I mean, the fact that we have never really engaged in this is kind of surprising and also shocking, and also why we find ourselves in some of the situations we do. I'm just going to go back to the calendar. Like, I just have a concern about like space programming and needs assessment going on at the same time that our strategic planning is going on, when that is where we are going to learn from the community what what they want. And so I want to make sure, I don't know, it just feels like a lot right now. And not that we don't need it, not that I don't think we've picked the right partner. I just feel like it's a lot on top of each other.
Absolutely, and we will, that feedback is really helpful and something that we want to make sure we're always paying attention to. So we'll definitely take that under review. And as we begin to build our project plan, make sure that all parties are really understanding the load. One of the things that ACB, our consultant, often reminds us, even as district leadership team, is that at the end of the day, our educators and our school leaders face multiple competing demands, and we do not want to put more on them to take them away, and our students, from the most important work, which is supporting our students. So definitely your instincts are important, and we'll be paying attention to that. So thank you for that.
Mine's more geared towards you. I'm always cognizant of some of the narratives that we've battled in the past, and when I hear them, I'm quick to say, oh, well, I am listening, and I will absolutely bring this. And we know, I think going into this, some of our trouble spots, and anybody who's walked out on our football fields, we understand, like, the challenge. But to demonstrate that I am listening, and listening doesn't necessarily mean always that you're going to hear what you want to hear, but of course, there's the narrative of, well, if we spend money from the personnel side on the facility side, and I'm asking you to, again, clarify to people, we're talking about two very different sets of buckets, and if it's not that simple, right? And you'll explain that better than me.
Absolutely. For example, we have funds that we levy off of, and those funds can exclusively be used for those functions. For example, we have an ed fund, which is Fund 10. We levy from that. We have O&M, Operations and Maintenance, Fund 20. Those funds, when we receive those levy, can only be used for the facility maintenance. We can't use it for anything else. And even with our EBF that we get from the state, there are allocations of those funds. Some of those funds are actually designated for us to use for operations and maintenance. We have to use those funds for our facilities.
And to maybe connect what you just said with what Board Member Johnson is saying, part of the problem, having sat here through massive cuts, part of the problem is we went into complete reactive mode in which we had no plan, and we just started, and I said at the time, like, we're in this, for the sake of saving money, we're costing ourselves money, right? Yeah. And so without those personnel available to have these kind of plans, long term, we'll find ourselves in the same boat. So it might not be a football field, it might be, an HVAC system or whatever the case may be. And so I know it's hard for people to hear that because their kid is where their kid is right now. But in order to get where we need to, right, we have to be able to have those long-term planning pieces. And so,
absolutely.
So just to
and most of our buildings were built around the same time, a chunk of them now. Right. And around the 20-year mark is when things start falling apart. And if we don't have a plan for it, then all we're doing is doing the whack-a-mole. Mm-hmm. And when you do that over time, you spend more money, you're impacting the health and safety of our students and our staff. And it's not really a good way for an organization, an institution this size to operate. We're not a mom and pop's operation. We're a $300 million a year entity. In any version of the story, we're a large business. Mm-hmm. And a large business will not operate without a plan to its facility.
Yeah.
Speaking of safety, one quick question. Speaking of safety, do you want to add to that, Mr. Bell?
The only thing I would say is through this process of firms and things, Whiting Company was one of the only ones that requested to speak to us in particular in the Student Services Department around safety and security. I think that speaks to them trying to be as comprehensive as possible. And so we welcome that conversation. In reference to kind of the work that you talked about, it's just necessary work. There's things that we may have to consider what we prioritize through this process, but the safety and security is significantly impacted by facilities, the aging facilities, the infrastructure in our facilities. And so I don't know how we'll do it or when we'll do it, but we'll do it because we have to.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be critical in helping to develop those strategic planning pieces. And so we need some of this data and this information quickly in order to be able to continue to respond to the needs that exist and the things that we're seeing coming, at least from the safety and security side. So.
Yeah, we understand that. We've been asking for something like this for like 3 years. So we get the importance of it. More importantly, when our community comes to us and they ask us for turf fields or they ask us for parking lots, and the question was always, well, where is this on our list of priorities? And so I'm looking forward to the opportunity to see reports where we can gauge how important is this, where is it in our list of priorities, and we don't have to guess about it. We can say to our community, this is where this is on our list of priorities because of we got to put boilers and chillers and all these other things.
Windows.
Yes, in our building. So I'm looking forward to this type of data so that we can make really good decisions.
I really appreciate you saying that. I think the other component to that is that we have often, I don't know if the word subjectivity is the right word here, but depending on who you're talking to, they prioritize things differently. And I think it is important to have someone outside telling us that, because we did a facilities plan, but it was done internally. And I think that we need someone from the outside saying, here's really what your priorities are, so that we don't create the friction in our community that was created before. So again, I'm just reiterating, I'm not saying we don't need this. I just want to make sure the timing is the best for our staff. So thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm very cognizant that we have students in the house, and I'm going to let you guys go in just a minute. I want you to participate in something. So we're going to move on to 8.1, our superintendent report. But before,
What about 7.1?
I'm sorry, 8.1.
So we skipped
I don't think there's any
7.1.
Oh.
public comment.
Yeah, I would do that
Oh, I'm
first.
sorry. Yep. Is there any public comment? Oh, okay.
Let's skip that one.
7.1, we're moving on. No public comment. Okay, so before Dr. Kelgati gives his superintendent report, I would just like to have us pause and take a few moments to honor the profound loss our community has faced recently. As we gather here today, our hearts are heavy with sorrow. 3 lives still with so much ahead of them were taken too soon. Each of these individuals brought light and joy to those around them, and their absence leaves a profound void that we all feel deeply. In times like these, it is important that we come together as a community, supporting one another and honoring the memories of those we've lost. Let us take a moment to reflect on their lives and the impact they had on our school and our hearts. So tonight, the board and the district honor and remember Oswego High School senior Sean Fader, Oswego East High School alum Javion McGee, and Murphy teacher and coach Mr. Aaron Dudley. So please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. We know that as a district, we unite, we lift up, and we carry on. But forever, we will remember these 3 who were part of our SD308 family. Okay, you are.
I appreciate that, but can I listen, I hope we never have to do this again, but just a request. We had like a lot of people here earlier, and I just think like if we can do it earlier next time, that would just be a little bit more impactful. Nobody did anything wrong, just observation, and hopefully we never have to worry about doing that again. And I know a lot of people were affected.
Yeah, thank you. Can we put that statement out on our website or something so that so those who weren't here today can see that? All right, thank you so much today to all of our student board members. You guys have contributed greatly to our discussion today, and we really appreciate it. And that's what you're here for. So thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you again. Thank you, President Simonton, for sharing those words, and also Mr. Ploger for highlighting the timing, but I would underscore that the timing is now. There is always, this is the time. And so it was important for us to make that time right now. And I want to invite our community as well to Hudson Park Crossing this coming Wednesday evening. We've been notified that there will be an interfaith gathering to honor the lives that we've lost of Sean, Javion, and Aaron. And this interfaith gathering will be a powerful, there will be a service as a symbol of our community's unity and grief, but also in strength. And we appreciate the faith community leaders who came together to offer this interfaith gathering, to offer this unique opportunity for our community. I also want to really give a special appreciation to our district crisis team under the leadership of Mr. Bell and Dr. Kincaid, who really rallied in a time when what people need is support, not figuring out who's going to give the support. And often it is the unsung heroes behind a lot of the planning and organization that can make it more palatable for our friends in our community, even our dear colleague and coach for life, Mr. Dudley. I know that in the weeks prior, the team were thinking about how can we prepare to support that family and the school, because and the district, because ultimately Mr. Dudley did have an impact throughout our district and has really been a beacon. So again, want to thank your team and thank your teams and all our schools and staff and everybody everywhere has really rallied to support these families. So thank you all. Over the past week, we've had along many school districts board. I was actually on a call with superintendents, and the superintendent from out west near Des Moines, Iowa, actually said, if it hasn't come to you, prepare for a huge struggle around threats on social media. And so there was about 40 superintendents on the call, and and only 2 or 3 raised his hand, and that was only 2 weeks ago. And sure enough, our community has really had to struggle the last week or so, especially about threats through social media. In many cases, these messages originate from outside of our district, but through social media channels, they end up in our community. While we take every single report very seriously and is investigated, we want to acknowledge that this type of behavior, reposting information like this, is very disruptive and frightening and costly both in times and resources. I want to take a moment again to, last week we sent out a message board to the whole community reminding everybody about the social media, and we are continuing a campaign to really remind folks about this. I want to thank students, parents, staff, community members for their vigilance in reporting anything concerning using the see something, say something adage. As a reminder, it's not a funny joke. It's not funny to joke about school violence. And it's not okay to spread rumors, photos, videos, or content that suggests such violence in any way. The safety of our students and our staff is always our highest priority, and we will take such matters very seriously. I want to thank our police partners who have invested their time and assistance and partnering with us to really make sure that every investigation is followed up when we receive these reports. I'm going to shift gears now. September 15th marked the start of Hispanic Heritage Month. It was a great celebration. Got to join BPAC for their launch of Hispanic Heritage Month. And Hispanic Heritage Month is a time where throughout there is our Latinx communities. Their communities have left an indelible mark of art, music, literature, science, politics, and education, and countless other domains. Their enduring legacy is not only a source of pride for those who share this heritage, but also a source of inspiration for all of us who recognize the power of diversity and acknowledgement and celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. We are grateful for and encourage learning and celebrations across the district, and I want to thank all our partners. Next year I'll be ready to say this in Spanish, so gracias para todos.
And just remember,
Dígame.
all of the Bs were at
Yes.
the events because they wanted to be part of BPAC.
Yes, they wanted to be part
As
of
we were
BPAC.
told by a student.
Yes. I want to now invite board partners, board members to share any additional celebrations or news of coming up from this upcoming.
Sure. I'll start us off. Oswego High School won the T-Mobile Friday night 5G Lights 5K sweepstakes. Say that fast 3 times. With your help, this is only the beginning. Future winnings could include outdoor lighting, sound system upgrades, and even turf. Help us reach our next milestone as a top 16 finalist by sharing on Instagram and using @T-Mobile, #FN5GL, #sweepstakes, and @OHS308 and @OHS Athletics. Thank you for being a part of this journey. This month, nominations are also open for Long Beach, Old Post, Boulder Hill, and Brokaw schools to recognize their amazing teachers and employees through the district's Pride program. The winning individuals will be recognized at the October 21st board meeting, the Board of Education meeting. Please visit the Board of Education page on the district's website and nominate a teacher or a staff member to be considered for this prestigious award. The nomination period will close on Thursday, September 26th.
Moving on, we are excited to invite all families to attend the second session of SD308 Parent University to learn, empower, advocate, and find community as parents in our district. Enjoy learning about topics parents choose and participate in and support your students' educational journey. Join us on Saturday, October 26th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Plank Junior High, and childcare will be provided. And just as an aside, I did go to the first Parent University. I think that if anyone has the least bit of interest, which you all should, it is definitely well worth attending. So we do hope to see lots of parents there on October 26th.
OHS Junior Emily Chorvat is one of 38 poets honored at the 8th Annual Gwendolyn Brooks Youth Poetry Awards. Emily was named as an honorable mention in her grade group for her poem X. Over 988 entries were received. Congratulations to Emily on this special recognition of your creativity and talents.
Yay.
Yay, Emily.
Congratulations to Stephanie San Roman, our OHS band director. She was recently attended the award ceremony in Nashville and received an award as Music Teacher of Excellence presented by the CMA Foundation. Thank you, Stephanie, for your hard work and dedication to students. This award is well deserved.
Well, they keep giving me these that are like so apropos for me. The Oswego East, I'm very thankful for this one. The Oswego East High School Social Studies Department is partnering with Disabled American Veterans Field of Flags. From now until October 25th, anyone in our community can donate, and for every $250 raised, the school will receive 24 flags to be placed along the school's main entrance and Wolf's Crossing the week of Veterans Day. Visit the OEH Facebook page for the link to read more and donate, and it's definitely a personal piece at this point. You know, my own father-in-law, he's looking at 6 weeks of radiation now, and the doctors are very confident this is left over from Agent Orange. He's a Vietnam vet, and unfortunately, he lost his ability to talk. They had to take that out. Very large cancerous tumor, and so for those of us who have loved ones who are still giving back, if you will, to our country. Things like this are appreciated, so thank you to the Social Studies Department at OE.
The 11th annual food drive. The 11th annual food drive begins on October 15th and will culminate at the Crosstown game on Friday, October 25th at Oswego East High School. We look forward to this time of year as our district collaborates to work towards such an incredible cause. Our district continues to be the largest donation the Kendall County Community Food Pantry receives yearly. Stay tuned for more information coming soon.
Thank you, Board. And as you hear, there is just so much good news, even in these difficult times, that we have to take a moment to be grateful for each other and for our shared commitment to our students. So to those listening, please share any good news you think we need to highlight in these monthly reports. So again, send them in. What you do matters to all of us.
Thank you, Dr. Kelgati. All right, moving to 8.2, board member comments. Any board member comments?
I do. I just would like to give a special shout out and thank you on behalf of Community Cares to Senior Celebration 24. Those would be the students that just graduated this past spring. Senior Celebration presented us with a check for $1,000, which will be used toward personal items that we have in conjunction with the food pantry at Old Trauber. We have had, this past food pantry was let me say this in English. The most people visited our portion of the food pantry than had ever in the past, which is good news and bad news. It's good that we have the ability to provide for all these people. It's not necessarily such a wonderful thing that there are so many people in need, but regardless, we are happy and proud to be able to provide. So again, Senior Celebration 24, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Moody?
Do you have any? I prepared my comments so not to kind of go astray. Over the past week or so, I've spent a lot of time in conversations with students, parents, educators, and community members discussing the safety and well-being of our students. We are facing a pressing concern that weighs heavily both on our hearts and our minds, and that's the threat of school violence. On the sidelines of my son's football game yesterday, I had families tell me that their children are facing anxiety and worry about going to school and feeling safe, that they are not okay. These recent events in our district highlight the vulnerabilities of our students, our educators, and our families. The fear of violence overshadows the joy of learning, and we know our students must feel safe and supported in their educational environments to explore, create, and grow. So last night, when I was sitting thinking about my comments, I had to really reframe what's been going on. And here's the good news. We can and we will address threats and school violence together with everyone doing their part. We will not tolerate anyone who wants to breach the emotional, physical, or psychological safety of our staff and students. Like Dr. Kelgati said, parents and teachers, please continue to reinforce see something, say something. And I think it's also really important to remind our students that they don't have to evaluate the threat to determine whether it's real or not, or worry about letting someone think that they turned it in. It will remain confidential. They just need to say something to their teacher, safe adult, student services, or principal. I personally saw it work last week. I watched our administrators take very seriously every threat brought to their attention and keep our students safe. To the adults in our communities who want answers real time, I beg you, please allow our administration the opportunity to safely work through the safety and security protocols that keep our students and staff safe. I know they will communicate with us as soon as possible when it's safe and feasible to do so. I'm so proud of our OE students who heard something and said something. I heard from the Fox Chase administration that the staff worked together to keep students and staff safe when facing an intruder. I send my heartfelt gratitude to Stephanie Passarelli, Kim Adorjon, Amy Battle, and Karen Calla for your strength and calm in the face of the unknown. As we move forward, let's remember that the strength of our community lies in our unity. By standing together, we create an environment where every student feels secure. We will turn our fears into proactive measures and show everyone that you cannot mess with Oswego. Together, we will be safe, and we will ensure that our schools remain places of learning, growth, and joy. Thank you.
Just real quick, I wanted to thank the Village of Oswego. Talk about a different tone walking in there. Obviously, President Simulton and Board Member Cerrone were there as well. I wasn't there alone, but it was great to see a constructive tone. I think there's a way for us to model. Speaking kind of to your point, how did some of these things happen? And some of the discussions I've had with students is like there's not a sense of belonging all the time. And I think sometimes as adults we forget that we model that and we model the strength of the community. So I echo your words and I applaud the village for asking good questions, right? That should happen, absolutely. And challenging each other. We'll challenge each other. But it was great to see that kind of tone.
Yes, it was.
So.
And look how much we've accomplished working together since you've come, Dr. Calgatti. It's been remarkable that we've moved some things forward that we needed to do when we've worked together. And I also want to give a shout out to our Oswego Police Chief, who was also on site last week with Mr. Bell, really working again once together with our intergovernmental partners. We're in good hands. So thank you.
And also we were at BPAC, so thanks to them. I know that was mentioned. Thank you for inviting us. They sent me home with a lot of food, and it's a good thing because if I did not come home with Lily's tamales, I don't know that my family would have let me back in the house. So thank you to them.
Get dozens at a time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did we talk about how we're gonna look into
Can't hear you.
Oh, do we talk about just how we're going to have a presentation on our safety? Can you just speak to that?
Yeah, great question, Madam President. On October 8th, is that correct? 7th, we're going to invite Mr. Bell to join us for our annual safety presentation. During that time, we will, in addition to just some important foundational practices and protocols that we follow, we'll have an opportunity to hear about some after-action report reflections. Do you want to add to that, Mr. Bell? I know your team's been working very hard already. Speak to a little bit of what you do with every incident and what we do in terms of process.
Sure. One of the things we've incorporated into our practice is that after-action report. And it's kind of looking at what are the things that we feel like went well, what are the things that we feel like we maybe had some gaps, what are those things in which we can better the system as we go forward, and then what are those action steps that are coming out of that, whether it's by a department or something specific. I want to highlight some of the things that we had a really rough week last week.
It's putting it lightly.
My department is kind of, we span a spectrum of services and supports to the district, but we're typically the ones that get called on the bad days. And so our department, with the help of Dr. Kincaid, was able to endure quite a bit of trauma, of tragedy, and support for all of our buildings, for our kids, for our families, for our staff, for our administrators. There's a number of us sitting around these tables that all contributed to that. It wasn't student services alone. But I can also tell you that some of the things that we've been working so hard to put in place were effective. We had some really good successes that I don't know are highlighted with all of the information that's out there, is that we stopped an intruder from getting access to our kids in a building. We endured supporting crises in 3 different locations at the same time. Those aren't things that I'm confident we could have done 18 months ago in the way in which we did them this last week. I hope, as Jared said, we never have to do this again. But I want to highlight there is a celebration there, even in the face of tragedy, is that our buildings did what they were supposed to do, how they were supposed to do it. And it wasn't just a district level response, it was our building level response that kept our kids safe. We just came in on the back end and helped to support kind of the process, procedures, and practices as we go. But it's been a lot of work to get to that place, and we're not done. We're going to learn some things. We have learned some things. We're going to report out at that October 7th annual safety kind of update, as well as identify some of those things that we're continuing to work on and some of those recommendations that we have going forward in order to continue to make this a place where we keep all kids safe.
We are committed to continuously learning, board. And I want to say that. I want to think what you just echoed and spoke to is exactly that, is that commitment, and that in every moment. So there is no bad feedback is what I would say. Any feedback to the community who may be listening, please share that with your principals, with us. It can only help us be stronger for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Can I just say
administrators.
one thing to Mr. Bell? Like, I last week, you really were the face of kind of safety and security in this district, and you did a phenomenal job of keeping calm and moving things along. I also want to just give a little shout out to administration. I'm not going to say who because I want to keep the privacy and confidentiality of the part of their reflection is asking the students how they felt and what works and doesn't work. That's very critical. To see that live and to see that happen is really critical to know that they are also is what the adults chose to do and how they handled it. Did it make you feel safe and secure? Was just really powerful to see real time. So thank you to your team and everything that happened.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, yes, thank you. It has not gone unnoticed, and we appreciate it very much. Okay, we're moving on to 9.1, our consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
Make a motion to approve all items under consent, including 9.1, minutes from the Board of Education meeting on September 9th, 2024. 9.2, to acknowledge a FOIA request received by the district. 9.3, to approve the field trips for overnight and/or more than 200 miles. And 9.4, to acknowledge the administrator and teacher salary and benefit report for fiscal year 24.
Second.
Are there any questions on the consent agenda?
Nope.
Mr. Gatewood?
Aye.
Dr. Murillo?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Cerrone?
Aye.
Ms. Simulton?
Aye.
Mr. Ploger?
Aye.
Ms. Venmus?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Action item 10.1, district, oh wait, we
Two.
did that one already. 10.2, action item, personnel report. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the personnel report as discussed and presented.
Second.
Mr. Gatewood?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Dr. Murillo?
Aye.
Ms. Simulton?
Aye.
Mr. Cerrone?
Aye.
Mr. Ploger?
Aye.
Ms. Venmus?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay. Good evening, Board. Mr. Obafemi, we have financial statements and investment schedule.
Right, so we've shared the financial statement and investment schedule for the month of August in there. Now, the financial statement, as you will see there, when this was generated, we had $78.2 million in investments on September 4th when this was created. Any questions? And we, just to add, we also are working on the end of the year financial audit with Baker Tilly Audit Firm. And we are committed to making sure that's concluded in November, and we should have a presentation to the board in December, which will be on schedule for the first time in over 10 years.
Can you repeat that? Because I think you said it was on schedule?
That on schedule.
For the first time in 10 years.
Required by statute to be completed and submitted to the state by December, and we will have that done. This will be the first time in at least 10 years.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Next, 11.2, we have a update on a RFP, and I want to thank the building and the business office and finance and buildings and grounds office for really engaging in this RFP process around a number of items. So this is just one of the few that are coming forward that are really thinking about how we coordinate our services, our purchasing services, and across the system. This is a first for the first time in a long time. And speaking with OEA, I have to give this context. OEA has been asking for this kind of coordination of purchasing support. Our union partners recognize the opportunity there, not just from OEA, from all of our unions, the opportunity for coordination of our purchase and how we think about our contracts and our services. So I want to thank your departments for that, Mr. Queen.
Yeah. So this is part of, if you look at our strategic goals that was presented to the board back in March, one of number 8 goal was to try to achieve operational efficiency. And one of the ways that we do that is to coordinate how we spend money. As a Luda district, a lot unit district, we spend a lot of money on key things. And one of those key things that we spend money on are custodial supply. And the way we currently do it now is kind of like we buy retail, whatever's convenient, whatever's easier, instead of coordinating. So this is an attempt to coordinate that. And I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Quinn to kind of talk to the board a bit.
So I believe there was 117 items ranging anywhere from paper towels all the way down to wax for the custodial floors. And just to ditto off of Calgatti and Dr. Calgatti and Raphael, this is how we justify how we spend the community's money properly, right? We want to get the best deal, but we also want to get the best product possible. So we were working with 4 of these vendors already. The other 4 or 5 are new that we are working with. Are there any questions regarding the scope of work that we displayed for you guys?
Before we go, Ms. Sitar, did you want to add anything?
This is nothing new. We've done this for a while. I think the process of my predecessor before me went out to RFP. We utilized the co-ops, but when we bought the trucks, we realized that the co-op wasn't always the best deal. So this is our due diligence to get that best guaranteed price. And I see you smiling over there, Jen. And if you check back on that board doc, I was surprised as well. So the co-op's not always the best option. This is just us doing our work and homework and making sure we were spending that dollar correctly and at the best price.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Barring any other questions. Next, I want to invite Dr. Kincaid, really just to give the board a quick update on our strategic roadmap.
So I just wanted to provide a brief update of some of the work that the team has been conducting regarding our strategic roadmap. We are moving into that precision phase of our strategic plan. So we're looking at both monitoring implementation and then seeking feedback. So in terms of monitoring implementation, we're monitoring across all of our departments of our 8 priorities. What we've done is we've integrated our success matrix so that we can look collaboratively as our departments are working together through our teams. So we have really looked to assist in the transition.
Dr. Kincaid, could you just bring mic closer?
Oh,
a little bit? Thank
sorry.
you.
So we are working on that transition between our strategic roadmap and our strategic plan. So our school improvement plans are underway at our buildings, focused on our 3 foundational practices that we've discussed previously with our equity and rightful presence, our effective systems and teams, and our high quality instruction. As we move into our feedback phases, which will focus in the late fall and winter, we're relaunching the Superintendent's Advisory Group. We will also then, in conjunction with Ann's Cummins-Bogans, work with our staff, students, and community to seek feedback. We are drawing upon our organizational and curriculum audit, and then really just the progress of our strategic roadmap. So as Dr. Calgatti has previously mentioned, our intended completion date of the strategic plan to bring to all of you is March 17th. So.
Well, happy St. Patrick's Day.
It must
It'll
be
be-
in green print.
It must be in green print was a request from Mary Jo.
I will make sure that that happens.
Excellent.
Dr. Kincaid, can you speak to a little bit about some of the metrics we'll be sharing with the board and some of the updates that we'll be bringing to the board around how we are measuring our progress and what the board has asked for in terms of some specifics?
Absolutely. So our first update will come later this week. So we have included updates in all three of those foundational practices. So we will include information from our Human Resources Department about our current vacancies through the priority 4-5. Thank you, Dr. Zumke. In addition, we will be including metrics around our student achievement data, our athletic participation, around the pathways chosen both in high quality instruction and equity and rightful presence from our school improvement plans in conjunction with both Dr. Paul and Dr. Waller. So we're trying to include both information directly related to our buildings, so you can see the connection between our strategic plan and our school improvement plans, but then also data focused on our students. So you will receive some of the suspension data from August, and then also our staff data from Dr. Zumke. So we're trying to give a cross-sectional representation over all three areas of our plan.
Will the August data give a comparison to last year?
So we are currently working on that. We will do our best. So right now, we're trying to recreate some of the charts and graphs. So it will include not only overall, but then also different subgroups data. So you can see that across the month also.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Madam President.
All right. Action
Thank you,
item-
Dr. Kincaid.
Thank you. Action item 12.1.
Make a motion. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Approval of updated e-learning plan.
You want me? I make a motion
Oh,
to.
sorry.
I make a motion. No, it's my fault. I make a motion to approve the updated e-learning plan as presented.
Second.
Ms. Venmus?
Aye.
Dr. Maria?
Aye.
Mrs. Saron?
Aye.
Ms. Simulton?
Aye.
Mr. Gatewood?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson? Aye. Mr. Ploger?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Action item 12.2, approval of 4 new bus leases. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve a 3-year lease through Midwest Transit Equipment, Inc. with an annual payment of $89,032 for 4 buses.
Second.
Dr. Maria?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson? Aye. Mr. Ploger?
Aye.
Mr. Saron?
Aye.
Mr. Gatewood?
Aye.
Ms. Venmus?
Aye.
Ms. Simulton?
Aye. Motion passes 7-0. Action item 12.3, approval of policies. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the following board policies, Section 4, Operation Services, 4:704, 4:80, Section 5, General Personnel, 5:1305, 5:200, Section 6, Instruction, 6:140.
Second.
Ms. Venmus?
Aye.
Dr. Maria?
Aye.
Mr. Saron?
Aye.
Ms. Simulton?
Aye.
Mr. Gatewood?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson? Aye. Mr. Ploger?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. 13.1, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?